Okay, so this is my first video in English, and we are going to talk a little bit about my opinion for the best monsters that you can use in low-level adventures for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition.
Robot Guide to RPG.
I've ran a one-shot adventure once. It was in November, I guess, November 2019, and it was a bunch of low-level characters. Everybody was first level. So right out of the bat, they faced a Drake. So if you check the stats for the Drake is a creature of challenge rating 2, and if you follow the challenge rating of the book, you will notice that your players will become overpowered, very overpowered, especially when they reach level 5. After level 5, their power just go up like crazy. Each level is like they are getting special powers and everything. So that's something that I noticed with this edition of DnD, and when I run a game, I run it in a more like a grindy way. So yeah, that's their first challenge, a Drake, a guard Drake. And if you check out the stats, like I said, it's challenge rating 2, but the armor class is only 14, which means that they will have an easy time hitting the Drake. It's not that big of a deal, especially if they are playing like together. If they are helping each other, they will be able to handle this. So a CR2 is kind of like, it's not that easy, but it's not that hard either for a level 1 party. You could expect them to need some healing, of course, and like I said, they had a cleric, but they will be able to handle. It has 52 hit points, but as a GM, I don't really use those hit points. I kind of feel the flow of the battle, so sometimes they can do a lot of damage, and if that's the case, I will just increase the hit points on the fly, so the fight will be a little bit more dramatic, unless it's not an important fight. If it's just like a fight that is there just to I don't know, it depends a lot on what you want to do. So that's the first enemy that I would suggest. So number 2, what would I suggest? Well, when I've started a campaign with only 2 characters, 2 players only, I've made in challenge an animated armor. An animated armor is only CR1, but it has an armor class of 18, which makes it very hard to hit on the first level, and it also can make 2 attacks with its melee attack. It has a multi-attack, and it has a slam, which kinda hits very hard on first level characters, with 1d6 plus 2 damage if one of the characters is a wizard or a rogue and it gets hit by that. It will be hard. It will be very hard. So what did I do? When the players faced the animated armor, actually armors, I kinda gave a hint that something was off. I placed them on a corridor with a lot of armors. I think it was like 6 armors, and 2 of those were animated armors, but they would not know which ones were animated armors or just regular armors for decorations. I gave hints like there were scratches on the floor, there were battle signs, and some of the armors were had damage on it. They kind of stepped back and thought a little bit about it, and they managed to not fight those armors. They, 2 players against 2 armors like that with a AC 18 to hit. They didn't know the AC, but they kind of knew that I was throwing something that would be at least challenging to them. So in the end, they found a secret passage and they went through that place without having to fight. But that's another monster that I would recommend using. And remember that I'm not encouraging you to kill your players. Don't do that. Just like this armor example that I gave some hints that would not be a good idea to fight that monster, but if you want to fight, well, go for it. Okay, number 3. Number 3, it's not really I would not throw this at a level 1 party, but I would probably use it at level 2 or 3, and I use it on my players and they hate it. It's a ghost. Yeah. Ghosts are CR 4. They have armor class 11, but here's the thing, they are really fun to play with. First, they don't really need to be evil. They could be just a soul that wants to help, and it all will depend on how the players will interact. My players faced a few ghosts on their games, and some were evil, some were nice, but here's the thing, whenever they try to face, even at level 5, 6, I think they tried to face once at level 3, other times where they were like level 5, level 6, way beyond CR 4, but they all do some damage. It's not really physical damage, but they have this horrifying visage, which if they fail by 5 or more on their saving throw, they will get old. And oh, this is fun to play with. It's just fun because at least my players, they like to roleplay, and some of them really got very old, and they were playing with this very old adventurer doing voices like, my back is hurting, and things like that. It's just fun. So yeah, ghosts are my number 3. Now for number 4, I would say the Water Weird. The Water Weird gives us a lot of opportunity to make some interesting encounters as well, because they cannot leave the water in which they are bound to. If they leave, they die, so the players might be able to think of a strategy to take that monster out of the water, or they will have to find a way to fight that monster inside that water, which is not easy. But remember, don't kill your players just to have fun. It's not fun to kill your players. It's fun to give them a challenge and see them overcome that challenge. But just throwing a monster that they have no chance of winning against is not fun. The number 5 monster that I recommend and that I use, and that I used against a party, level 1 party, that same party that I told you about, the one shot that I did, that the first monster that they fought was a drake. That one shot, the main monster was a red dragon, a Wyrmling red dragon, yes, but a red dragon. A Wyrmling red dragon has an armor class of 17, which is not that easy to hit when you're level 1. If you're level 5, level 4, that's quite normal AC, but for level 1 party, that's not easy. And like I said, I like my games to be challenging, but not impossible. So what do I recommend? Don't really follow the challenge rating of the book, just use it as a guidance, because the monsters in DnD 5 are not really well balanced in relation to the characters. So they were able to defeat Red Dragon Wyrmling, and they were able to kill. They had a lot of trouble. Of course they had. Every time that the dragon used the fire breath, at least one of them would fall. Before that fight, I gave them plenty potions of healing, and the cleric had a magic item as well as staff of healing. So with that, they were able to fight the monster, the red dragon. It was really challenging. It was hard to do that at level 1, even though they had, I think they had, each of them had 3 or 4 healing potions, plus the cleric had his spells and the staff of healing. So even though they had that aid, it was hard because it's a, you know, I said 5, but it's challenge rating 4. I'm looking at it right now. It has a fire breath which gives around 24 damage, and that goes over any hit points that our first level character has. It has a bite that gives 9 damage. Usually I use those numbers when I'm playing because unless I really have a lot of time, but usually I don't have a lot of time when I'm playing this game, so I basically use those average damage numbers. And 9 hit points can kill most of the first level characters. It has around 75 hit points, which gives us a quite a long fight, but you know, they got creative as well during this fight. And remember, the monster doesn't really need to fight until the very end. But in DnD, the player characters are powerful, so remember that when you're dealing with them. They are quite strong. So yeah, that's it. Those are the 5 monsters that I like to throw against low-level characters on DnD 5. Maybe I'm kind of crazy throwing some of these powerful monsters against them, but you know, the main objective of this game is to have fun, and I hope that my players have fun. If not, I'm sorry. But yeah, that's it. This was the first episode of this RPG series that I'm making, together with other videos on this channel. If you would like, check my other videos as well. Some of the videos at the moment of this recording, most of them are in Portuguese. I talk about a lot of things. I will talk about a lot of things. One of these things will be RPG. So yeah, see you next time. Actually, I won't see you. I can't see you. You will see me next time. See ya.